So, did you know that the appearance of the text on your website actually has an impact on the effectiveness of your website whenever a user visits? The difference between someone actually reading what you say on your page and therefore following up, converting, contacting you, giving you money, it actually can be impacted by just how your text is laid out on the page. So my name is Wade McMaster. I'm a web designer. I'm also a blogger and an internet marketer. And basically I'm here to try and help you get your website up to that high standard so that way you can get online, grow your business, maybe reach more people, or just simply have your voice heard on the internet. So what I'm going to do is in this video I'm going to show you just a few little ways to format your text so that it can become more scannable, easier to read, and basically you want to just trying to get it to that point where people are going to more easily be able to digest what it is you've written on screen. So what we're going to do, I'm going to jump on the computer into WordPress and I'm going to show you exactly how I lay this out and just give you a few examples. Alright, so let's get to it.
Okay, so we're in the computer and we're on a bit of a dummy blog that I've created here using, well, obviously using WordPress and also just using the Vertex theme from Elegant Theme, which is actually a pretty nice theme. I just sort of slapped it on there and it's sort of showing up all right so far, apart from this background image. There is an affiliate link to that theme down the bottom if you're interested in checking it out. But anyway, to get on with it, basically I've got a blog post here. I actually wrote this a while ago, so I've copied it and repurposed it for this video. And it's called Quick Lessons on Success, Marketing, and Fear. Now, when you land on this post at the moment, the way I've got it, and this is the way a lot of blog posts show up on people's websites, it's just a sea of text. Where do you go? What do you read? Do you start at the top, go all the way to the bottom? It's not very inviting at all. It's actually quite scary. It's one of those things that quite often, if people land on a website and see a text like this, they're just going to turn around and bounce back. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to, I've got this open to edit. This is what you see in the back end when you're looking to edit. And we're going to actually just go through a few guidelines to get it looking better. So the first one I want to touch on, which this theme actually already does reasonably well, is it makes it somewhat legible. Now, depending on the video quality, I'm not sure how big this is, but this has got black text, white background, and it's actually quite legible lettering, if that makes sense. Everything is quite easy to read. The font is nice and simple. Sometimes you get people who have really complex fonts, that sort of thing, and it makes it really hard to read. So that's one thing I want to make sure that you do get a good theme, you do get something that's going to be legible. If you have a bit of control over the fonts, that's even better because you can make the font bigger if you need to, thicken it up, do what you need. That's one thing I find really useful about themes such as like the Divi theme, which I'll also link to below, because you can change and use just about any font on the Google Font Registry there and get it looking the way you want. So that's the first tip is to make it legible. Make sure it's a high contrast black on white background, generally speaking. You can go for white on black, except it still doesn't quite have the same effect as black on white. It's not quite as legible. Because you've got to think you're not the only person reading this website. There might be people who have poor eyesight trying to read your content, so you want to make it pretty easy to read. Next thing you want to do is you actually want to make it scannable. So at the moment, this is just a sea of text. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is if you look at this paragraph here, like where in the paragraph do you look when you're reading? It's not, you don't quite know exactly where to go a lot of the time. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to just break things up a little bit and make things a little bit more easy, like just a bit easier to read and digest. So we're going to get through and just go through and break things up. And one thing you do while you're breaking things up is to add just little differences in the text. Like I can make this bold. I can also, we've got a bit of a quote here. Maybe I make that italics. Same with this one here. And you can see here already, this is already a bit easier because you know exactly where to look. And the lines, and there's not too many lines here. If you're reading down here, it's easy to get lost and not know where you've come from. When you've only got a couple of lines here, it's actually quite easy to go through and get the look you want. So the other thing I want to do is I've actually put in here a few headings. I'm just going to go through. And one big part of making this scannable is you want to include subheadings. Now, there's a few different options here, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. Heading 1 should always be your title post, your title tag. Down here, I tend to use heading 2 or heading 3. So I'm going to pop a few headings in there. And you can see already it's starting to become scannable. I can actually go through and find what I need to find pretty easily, and it's just much easier on the eye to read, and it's a far better way to do it. So I've just got here, maybe I'll bold this up, maybe I'll italics that. You can already see it doesn't take long to go through and break this sort of thing up. Now I'm not really doing anything in particular here. I'm simply breaking up these sentences, and you can highlight, strong points that you want people to read, that sort of thing. So you can see already. Now if I preview this, scroll down, obviously that's not too legible, but didn't really spend too much time setting that up. Already this is broken up. I can see that we've got one section here, one section there, highlighted point there, another section, and it is quite easy to read now. It's pretty easy. So by breaking things up, now if I bring up the original post over here for you to look at, you can see just how well broken up it is. I've put a bit more effort into the design, but everything is just laid out easy. You can see where we are, and it's laid out. But one thing you're probably noticing here is that there's actually images. Now one thing, if I go switch back over to here, I haven't got any images. Now one thing I like to do, especially to break up some of these subheadings, is I actually like to pop an image in underneath. But before I do that, I will also add a little intro image on the right here. There's actually a study that shows that people prefer to read shorter line lengths. I'll just make this all right. The shorter the length of this line, basically the higher chance it is of people reading it. Despite the fact that people can read longer lines, probably not quite this long, a bit more easily. So this is a good way to lead people into your content, as having a right aligned image. Another thing you can do, like I said, is we can start to go, okay, I want to add some images in here to break it up and make it scannable. So I'll upload these ones here. So this is just one I've taken off the internet just for the sake of the video. So we've got something down here. Maybe I'll pop this one down there. This isn't going to be identical to the original post. As you can see, I haven't touched any of this text down here. And so maybe I want to put something else in there. So they're kind of like landmarks. And you think about if you go traveling and you get told to turn right at a certain landmark, maybe it's a building or a statue, and it just makes it easier for you to find where you are on the page. So if I preview this page here, you can see that straight away I'm leading in, and I can see that this is one section, a bit more info. This is another section, and it's just broken up visually. Like I said, I haven't actually done this text here, so you can already tell just by scrolling down just how much easier the rest of this is to read. So that's another really easy way to do it. So basically, to go over it again, basically the steps I'm looking at is, number one, you want to make it legible. Nice high contrast black text on white is best. But otherwise, nice contrast, nice readable font, simple, something that's big and easy to read. You also want to make it scannable, so you want to have your subheadings. You want to make sure that your text is broken up, certain points are highlighted, so that way if someone doesn't want to read your whole post, they can scroll down and find the section they're after. And finally, this third tip is to go visual, so using imagery to help break up your text. And like I said, it also adds like a bit of a landmark effect where you can sort of see where you are. And the text also helps describe the text. The image helps describe the text on the page. So that's just a few little tips. It's pretty easy to do when you're in the WordPress editor. If you're not familiar with the WordPress editor, I do have another video on just showing you how to use that and how to add pages to your WordPress site. I'll link to that below. But that's pretty much it. Just a nice, easy way for you to add and subtract. Basically, get your posts and your pages a bit more scannable, a bit easier to read. So, like I said, if you look at this text here, if your entire blog post is laid out like this, just to see a text, and then you swap over to something like this, which is a bit more scannable. And there's even a few things in this I would prefer to do to it, but I haven't done. But you can see straight away, title, image, big title, another title, image to break up the text, another image to break up the text, that sort of thing. It just makes it far more enticing to read, easier to scan. It's just nice and easy. So that's pretty much the video for today. I have got a blog post on this which goes through in detail like this in writing. So if you do want to refer to that for reference, that is also linked to below. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we've got more stuff like this coming. So keep an eye. If you did like the video, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel or click the bell icon. And I hope to see you again. Thanks for watching.